right, hello, Sooner Nation. We are back a little earlier. Well, I had a snow day. Steve did not. Um, that's the
Education
beauty
always
part.
paramount at Keys Public Schools. For all you folks in the greater Tahlequah area, Keys High School is your school of choice.
That's the beauty part about living up north. Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
not for me because it's been virtual learning all day today. So I've been wanting to. I needed a
Nothing
break
makes
from my.
parents more appreciative of teachers than virtual learning days. That's like I think when teachers have the highest Q rating is when parents have to deal with teaching their own kid, math, science, and English. It's not a whole lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, well, me and Steve were talking before we got on. I thought we were going to go a whole pod without talking football, and then DeMarco Murray said, "Hold my beer." And so we'll start. We're not going to touch on football. Like, we're not football season. We have all season and basically most of the off season to talk football. Sooner football is always there. It always gives you something. But the DeMarco Murray news hit the wire yesterday afternoon at some time that he was possibly going to Penn State. And I don't know how much truth was in it.
I'm possibly replacing Sam Presti.
yeah. I mean, but there's so much, especially when it comes to coaches, and I don't have anything against them doing it, but the whole just like
it's an agent-driven deal. This was a Spaceballs 2, the quest for more money.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of one of those deals. Now, I do think there was more fire to the smoke last year with Ohio State and DeMarco, but I really didn't feel like this is the deal. Now, if you want to come and tell me now that Kellen Moore's been hired by the Saints, I think all of the NFL head jobs are full. If you were to come and tell me that, DeMarco ends up on NFL staff, that wouldn't shock me, but I don't think DeMarco is going to Penn State, and that's not a shot at DeMarco or a shot at Penn State. But when you just look at the proper fit, I just don't think that's what it's about. Recruiting, position coaching is recruiting, it's relationships, it's placement. DeMarco at Penn State, that's going the wrong direction. I realize that California is Big Ten country now, but that didn't pass the smell test to me.
No, not to me either. I just feel like DeMarco did it last year too. Where was it that he was?
Ohio State, I think, right?
Yeah, that's where it is. And to me, I don't know how much we'd lose if DeMarco was gone. There's not been anything where I've just said, oh, I mean, I guess not fighting harder to get Xavier Robinson in might be.
Yeah, it seems to me like it's kind of odd. You would think with the ex big time player like DeMarco was, you think it would be like more the players coach kind of thing, but it kind of sounds like DeMarco's a big hard butt. And, it's one of those things of not to diminish what you do in practice or the off season and that sort of thing. But part of coaching is putting your best players out there and putting your team in the best chance to win. And I think sometimes there's some pettiness and some of those things, at least from what minor insiders like us hear, what we read and that sort of thing. But would I cry a giant river if DeMarco left? No. I mean, let's be honest. Has DeMarco been as successful as a running back coach as Kale was? No, he hasn't been. And I'm not one of those people who think guys, Kale's not coming back. I don't mean to open up that can of worms and get that in the comments. I don't mean that. But just, apples to apples. Kale was a more successful running back coach than what DeMarco has been. We've signed, big time people, but we haven't really seen big time results. And so hopefully next year is the turn in that. But if he was to move on, I don't think that's the end of the world for us. But as we've said here, as I think you'll hear other places, if he was going to leave, I think it would be for the NFL.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, and down the road, I think that's probably his end game. I think he will be an NFL.
Of course. I mean, he was an NFL player. I think that's where he wants to end up. I don't think he's a guy who necessarily wants to be a college OC or a college head coach or something. I think that's more of his end game. Obviously, I'm not his agent. I'm not his friend, so I can't tell you exactly what his thoughts are. But that's more where I would lean. And speaking of agents, someone whose agent probably needs to be active is our friend Porter Moser, which brings us to Sooner Hoops. And big game tonight against Mizzou. Probably by the time you're listening to this, you're either happy or sad. I just did a little vote on Yahoo Sports. I was checking my app to make sure I knew exactly what time the game was going to start. And it's an 8 o'clock tip. And across America, it was 78% of people picked the Missouri Tigers to win, and 22% of America picked the Oklahoma Sooners to win. And folks, if this is a loss, I do know that we have LSU at home on Saturday, but we have to get to 20 wins to get to the tournament. And right now we're at 16. And say you win at home against LSU, that's your most winnable game. Then it's probably at home against Missouri. Then it's probably at Texas. Then you could argue it's either home against Mississippi State or at Missouri. None of those are gimmies, guys. This is one of them that's in the you almost have to get it, or you're running out of chances to get to the tournament.
I agree.
And if Porter's not in the tournament, guys, he's fired.
Yes. And here's my deal, too, is I don't look at the LSU game like we were talking before we came on, like people are like, well, there's a bad spot for them to win against Missouri. I'm like, if you can't beat Missouri, I'm sorry. Like, I know
you're not a tournament team.
You're not a tournament team. And also, too, I don't go into playing LSU saying, well, I know we can win that one. There is no game on our schedule where I look and say, well, I know we can win this. And to me, that's a sign of a team that's probably not a tournament team. And that's just
LSU has a bad record. They've only got one SEC win. They do. But it was against Arkansas, who we saw Arkansas go into Kentucky and beat them. So, and if you look at LSU, I mean, they lost to Ole Miss by 2. They've played some close games. That was their most recent game. They go to Arkansas tonight. I mean, who knows? They might beat Arkansas and come with a little momentum Saturday. Who knows? But what we're here to tell you is Sooners need to win tonight. Recapping last week, I mean, just an abysmal performance on Saturday against Tennessee, 52 points. No, Tennessee came out hot, but that game was never a ball game. It wasn't. And Tennessee's really good. That's a team that can win a national championship. Obviously, Auburn's really good. That's a team that can win a national championship. And we know OU is not to that point, but we were non-competitive in both of those games. And if you look at, some of our losses have just been flat non-competitive. Alabama was non-competitive, and when we played the true upper echelon, we've been non-competitive. And this is that middle of the road that we've won a couple of games, but we've also lost some games. That A&M game, I think, will come back to haunt us. And we said it then, we'll say it now. That A&M game at home was one you just have to win. That game at Georgia, you had a chance to win. The game at home against Texas, you had a chance to win. Even on the road at A&M, you had a chance to win. And we need the team that played second half against Vanderbilt to re-show itself. And, I'm through telling you, basketball is a best player game. It's, who has the best players, and your best player plays well, you're going to win. When your best player plays poorly, you're going to lose. And obviously we know Jeremiah Fears has to play better. Jalen Moore's been moderately consistent, but, much as we love a lot of the other guys, those are our two people who have NBA-type talent who have to go and play well for us to beat these teams that have NBA talent.
Yeah. And, Jeremiah Fears, I've harped on him. He's played better. I'm not saying he hasn't. But good basketball teams game plan. And what do? They stop your main scorer. We don't have anything down low, so we're going to get killed in the post. We haven't had a post player since, Jabari Brown. Jason Yanish, there's a name from the past. Yeah. But we've brought it up numerous times. Sam Godwin's playing a role that he was never meant to play at the University of Oklahoma. Northweather hits the 3-ball well. We need somebody that can bump down low. This is probably, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a disgruntled OU basketball fan, this is probably the worst rebounding college basketball team I've ever seen. They don't compete for rebounds. Their angles they take to get rebounds are abysmal. And guys, that goes to coaching. It does. If you can't,
we are, just in case you're curious, we are 329th in D1 in total rebounds. 329th.
So numbers back up what I'm saying. I mean, my eyes don't lie to me. I watch that team. I'm just, like, when the ball goes up in the air, if we get a rebound, I am shocked because we just get beat on every rebound. And the angles that we take, getting underneath the rim, like, on a 3-point shot, like, what are we doing?
To go under the hood a little bit of why we are where we are, I think if you look back to when Porter very first got hired, everyone raved about the assistant coaches that he brought in. And if you remember, all of them are gone now. And, we lost one before that season even started. We brought him in. He goes somewhere else. We lost 2 more to head coaching jobs after that first year. And I just really feel like, in practice, I'm not naive. I don't think Porter is in there every day working, all this stuff. And with the different practice time and all this, I think we struck out with our assistant coaches as well. I don't think Porter knew exactly, I don't think Porter forgot how to coach basketball. But I think the brand that Porter coaches, number one, requires a good big, which we haven't had. We thought we had in the Groves. We didn't. Jacob Groves, or was it Tanner? Tanner was the bigger one.
Yeah.
And, we just really have been reeling ever since. And it's kind of like, you hate to say this, and we're trying not to talk about football, but there's similarities of Porter and BV. If you can see the outline of what we're trying to do, and it makes sense. But we've kind of like, built our house on the sand, and we got to build our house on a rock. And with Porter, those rocks are playing solid defense and really running the ball through the high post, through your open post, kind of some of that, Princeton Chin offense stuff. And defense isn't over until you get the rebound. We don't complete that task. And I do still think we play pretty decent first shot defense. But when you're 329th in total rebounds, you're not going to be very good. And, that's just, that's just basic tenements of basketball. And on our offense, we can't, and you'll see us, we'll try to run something to Godwin, top of the key, and we'll hit him on the high elbow area, and you'll see some movements kind of start coming, and then it's nothing because he's no threat. He's not a threat to drive. He's not a threat to shoot. Now, when Northweather's in, he is a threat to shoot, but Northweather is also a threat to rebound because I haven't seen him get very many, bless his heart. I mean, to me, as a former basketball coach, Northweather is a really good Division II basketball player. That's what he looks like to me. He looks like a really good D2 player, or maybe a guy who's playing at ORU. And this is not a shot. If Luke Northweather's family's listening to this and they're cursing me, I'm not taking a shot at your son. I think he's a good player. I just think he's miscast playing in the SEC. And once again, we can talk about this until we're blue in the face. And those of you who are listening to this for Sooner Hoops, we're going to talk some more. I'm not going to say I don't want to talk any more basketball. But at the same time, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And hell, Porter, let's play zone. Usually it makes no sense how usually when you play zone, you struggle to rebound. But you know what? In our man, we struggle to rebound. So maybe we need to team rebound better than what we're doing. Maybe we need to play zone. Maybe if we play zone, it's more long rebounds. So that way our guards can go get more shots that way. But I mean, basic tenements of basketball, pitting on the backside. Like Jeremy talked about this earlier, going to get the rebound when the ball is shot, knowing from the rotation where the shot's taken, how the ball's going, where the ball's going to be. We are so reactionary. And you can't play basketball that way. You can't. Well, you can, but you're going to get your butt kicked against really good teams.
And OU was not done any favors. This conference, SEC.
Oh, the SEC hates OU.
It is historically maybe one of the best conferences top to bottom that college basketball has ever seen.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there are numbers that can probably back that. That's it. Now look at Arkansas. That could come back to look like a really good win the way Arkansas is starting to play better. Arkansas is playing like a Calipari team does. So you knew they were going to get better, but that's.
And here's the deal with OU and Arkansas.
not.
We're both 3-7 right now in the conference. Do we want to take the bet that we're going to be better at the end of the year? Right now, the bottom of the conference is South Carolina's 0-10, LSU's 1-9. Then there's us and Arkansas at 3-7, Texas and Georgia at 4-8, who we've lost to both of them, Vanderbilt, who we beat, at 5-6, Mississippi State 5-6, Kentucky 6-5, and you got Tennessee, who's number 5 in the country, 7-5 in the conference. This Missouri team 6-4, Ole Miss 7-4, A&M 8-3, Florida 8-3, Alabama and Auburn 10-1. We're a long ways from that top. But if we're going to make the tournament, we've got to get out of the cellar.
Yeah. And I just feel like we were talking about, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Like, why are we – I'd love to see what our plus minus is with Foresight and Fears in. It seems like when those two are in at the same time, movement's a little bit better. Foresight's a lot better distributor of the ball. Fears is more of a scorer. Get those two ball handlers in there. I mean, it just seems like that lineup works a lot better. So,
I don't know. What I really like is, and you probably heard me say this almost every podcast since basketball season started, you can coach a lot of things where you don't have to coach effort. And when Dayton's in, you don't have to coach effort. You don't. Yeah. He's going to play his guts out. Good, bad, or indifferent. He's going to play his guts out. He's going to turn it over a little bit, whatever. Some of the cross-court passes that worked at Dale, don't work anymore. We're not playing McLeod. No shot at McLeod or anybody, or Bethel or anybody else. Dale's playing right there in the general area. But you don't have to coach effort with him.
Yeah.
And I do think I love bringing him in because I think Jeremiah then has to match that intensity. And that makes Jeremiah play harder, which makes him better.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do like that dynamic. I mean, if it was me, first buzzer that goes off, I'm putting Dayton in there. I'm not starting him because I really like him coming in as an energy guy off the bench. And, I would give Jalen Moore an oxygen tank, and at the 4 timeouts, he would take oxygen because he'd never come off the floor, ever. Yeah. I just don't think we can take him off. And, Jeremy and I played high school basketball together. Jeremy and I, neither one were very happy when we came off the floor. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jalen's a little better player than Jeremy or I. I mean, not much, just a little bit.
Maybe just a little.
Maybe he's slightly more athletic. But that being said, players don't want to come out. Those cats want to compete. So I think you're going to have to ride more, and you're going to have to hope you get better out of Fears. Hopefully we have the Goodine who hits shots. And, you get maybe OSU, maybe OSU Godwin returns for a little bit, maybe that would be nice. But once again, I'll be watching tonight. I've said I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to watch. Yeah. I'm going to watch it. And hopefully it's good because there's moments of good. It's not like this team's terrible. They're not terrible. But we've got to see in year, was this 4 for Porter?
Yeah.
We've got to see better than what we've seen. And we want it to work, but there's just no guarantee that it's going to work. Because, coming up here in the future, Jeremy and I were talking about this before the pod, and I don't want to spend that much time today talking about this, but if you've got a name that you'd like for Jeremy and I to look into a little bit deeper on who do you think should be the next head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, put it in a comment, send us an email, soonercast@gmail.com. We'd love to talk more about that. But unfortunately, guys, if we don't get 2 wins this week, that's probably going to be the main focus of our pod next week.
Yeah, and here's a name that I just heard this on the radio, and I really never thought it, but I don't know, maybe you like living in Oklahoma. But you'd have to probably break the bank for, and I don't think OU wants to spend that much money in basketball. But Billy Donovan, because he's probably going to get let go by the Bulls. A name that's floated around that I haven't heard until I just heard it a while ago, and I was like, I mean, the hire that they bring in, it's going to have to be a big name because, guys, I wanted to bring this up. I'm glad we kind of – I know we're not going to talk about coaches because we can talk about that next pod whenever they lose 2 more games this week. But OU basketball, guys, it's never been supported. I'm sorry. When the Thunder got here, it was over. Me and Steve love OU basketball. I'll support him until the day I die. But that said – we got to quit getting butthurt every time we don't have fans here.
And look, I'll say this, and I know no one from the SEC network is listening to this, or if they are, congratulations. Thanks for liking and subscribing. But the shots they took the other night, screw those guys. Okay, guess what? I guarantee you, if you go to the South Carolina or the LSU, the people that are below us in the conference standings, go to a freaking Texas game, guys. It's not packed out either if they're not playing a great team. I mean, guess what people support? Winners. So they can take that crap and they can take shots at somebody else. I think that's bull crap that shot was taken. Yeah. Now, if I gotten frustrated OU fans for lots of things, yes. But we're never going to have a packed Lloyd Noble, and it's going to be Lloyd Noble, guys. The whole thing with the city council in Norman, nothing's going anywhere with that, okay? Would love that it would. Don't really love the location. Wish it was closer to campus. But we need a new arena. We do. That's something we'll talk about later on too. But that's not happening. Lloyd Noble's here for the foreseeable future. But that being said, when we win, people will be there. But you have to win big games. Win big games. Stack winning big games. And that thing will be full. It will be loud. And it's a good atmosphere. We have been there for good atmospheres, or this way, I guess. Sorry. We have been there for good atmospheres. And I want to be there again for good atmospheres. Yeah. But you know what makes a good atmosphere? Your team winning.
Yeah. And, I mean, when that place was packed, what teams were there? Buddy Hill teams. And you want to know why teams aren't supporting this? It's because this is the 4th year in a row we've watched this. I'm sorry, guys. We aren't a stupid fan base. I understand we get a lot of crap from it.
Don't you think, Jeremy, we've been – there was a big joke a lot of times about the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets really being dumb organizations in the NBA because they really tried to win 38 to 43 games. They were right on that bubble. This is, pre-play-in or, right on the play-in. And, you're never going to get any good. Because you're going to get the 12th to 14th pick. You're never going to be any good. You got to bottom out. And that's what's frustrating about this OU basketball team is we're kind of like a 35 to 40 win NBA team. And those are the ones that nobody wants to watch because there's really no hope with it, and that's what's made it rough is go get some wins, guys. I want to support you. If you've never been to a game live, Porter is fun to watch. He gets after them during the game. I mean, they want to do the right things. The in-game stuff at Lloyd Noble is still pretty good. Red Panda will still show up, spin some plates, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to tease a Top Dog story, but not today. We don't deserve the Top Dog story today, but I'm teasing it. It's coming for probably Jeremy and I's highlight of our entire career as OU fans was an incident with Top Dog. But this team's not Top Dog worthy right now. We're not going to go there. But there's lots of good stuff that can be there, but we just, as Al Davis says, just win, baby. Yeah. Just win.
I mean, that's what you have to see now. That's why I felt the A&M game was bigger than just a loss.
It was demoralizing.
Because we win that game and we're 1-1 in conference. It changes our whole mindset, not only as a fan base, but as a team. And I keep looking when, we get a win and we beat Vanderbilt, I was like, I think we'd have been 500 in the conference play. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me that doesn't boost. These guys aren't blind.
Tough quiz for you, Jeremy. What do winners do? Win.
They win.
What do losers do?
They lose. Yeah.
Okay. And, that's where we're at. But speaking of winners and finding a way to win, If you missed last week's episode, it's pretty evergreen with Eric Bailey from Tulsa World. So shout out again to Eric for coming and joining us. A little bit of audio problems with Eric's audio, but it's nothing too bad, guys, that you can't listen to. Check that out if you haven't already. But I really felt like, Jeremy, that I had cursed Sooner softball forever. I was watching the first day, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm usually the guy who I'll watch the game against OSU or Texas. And I'll watch all of the playoff games. I'll watch all of those, but regular season, I'm kind of in and out. That's kind of where I've been. But I thought, hey, had Eric on, doing the pod, need to pay attention. And I'm like, freaking crap, we're going to lose to San Diego State. But, Sooner Magic may not always be at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, but it's following Patty. Great games.
It goes back to what you just
what
said.
do winners do, man?
Winners win. And I, we were talking about how we're a spoiled fan base when it comes to softball. I was getting a little aggravated. I'm like, second game of the season, we're going to lose.
Oh, I did too. It's like, don't even freaking rain. I don't care if they won the Mountain West. It's bullcrap.
Yeah, and
we're going to lose. We're going to lose 15 games.
San Diego State is a tournament team, and Long Beach State is a tournament team. Both those teams, I think, are tournament team. Good pitching. The thing is with OU is they always find a way to win under Patty Gasso. It's just insane how.
Okay, well, I mean, we're okay, and shout out to my nephew Reed. He likes to use this, but I mean, you've seen the John Wick movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it's Baba Yaga, baby. I mean, we're the boogeyman. We are there, and until somebody beats us, that's who we stinking are, and. Yeah. It's one of those deals. If we've got an out, if we've got a strike, and here's the deal: we got kind of a tough weekend coming up. We go down to Baylor. Baylor's ranked. They'd love to beat us. Those games are on ESPN Plus, a little easier to find than the Mountain West Network. I had to watch on my phone the other day. But all that being said, whatever. But it's another week of perfection and another week of her pushing the right buttons. Any player thoughts, Jeremy, you want to throw out from softball, anything you saw this past weekend?
Absolutely. Ella Parker is still good at softball.
Yeah. God's a pretty swing, man.
SEC player of the week. Probably can count on one hand how many times she got out. Just good at bats. I mean, you can tell seasoned softball players, like she's got a full year under her belt. She's just a complete hitter. I mean,
dude, they take walks. They take walks. I mean, and that's the deal of but once again, Patty, I mean, I was kind of questioning the first game. I was like, man, we're always batting Sid Sanders a little high. Guess what she did after the first day? She dropped her down, because, and not that Patty was texting me. It was like, hey, Goss, what do you think? Here's my lineup, up, down, whatever. That didn't happen, but Patty's not afraid to make changes, but she's also the ultimate players coach, and she has confidence in her players. And something that, is as basic as not swinging at balls makes baseball, softball it's a game changer. Because when you swing at strikes and you put a good swing on it, the ball goes a long ways. And you hit it hard.
And, we talked about Porter, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. Patty Gasso, even last year, changed it. I think one game, a couple games last year, Jada was kind of struggling. She batted Jada 9.
Yeah.
And moved Riley up. So she moves her lineups around a lot. That's one thing I love about her is you watch Ella Parker. Ella Parker went from batting leadoff the first game to batting 2. He batted, I think, 4 one time. She's trying to get Ella. I mean, what good softball coaches do is you try to get your best hitters the most at bats you can.
Yeah.
That's why she batted Jocelyn Allo at 2-hole. People are like, man, she's a cleanup hitter. No, she batted 2-hole. That way she gets more at bats. So it just,
and just like what she did with the pitching staff. I mean, the Long Beach State game goes what? Was it 11 innings? Mm-hmm. I forget exactly. 10 or 11. I forget off the top of my head. But, they deal pitches the first 6. Gives up maybe 1 hit. Monticelli comes in for a batter, and then Isabella Smith comes in. and obviously doesn't give up anything either. And don't get me wrong, it's one of those deals of like, sometimes you see preseason stuff, you're like, okay, I'm working on getting these reps, but it just shows once again, there's no panic with our softball team. There's no, hey, it's not in that game. We put some decent swings on the ball. Sometimes we had some atom balls in that Long Beach State game. We left some people on base. We did those sorts of things, and that's okay. But you found a way to win. And that's what winners do, man. Winners win. And I'm glad Patty, as an American, I'm glad Patty's the USA softball coach. But as a Sooner, I'm really glad she's ours. And good luck this weekend down in Waco. If we got any listeners down in that area, make sure to go check that out. Notice lots of Sooner fans at all of those California games. It was neat to look behind the plate, and you'd see Sooners. A lot of hoodies. I guess it was a little cold in California.
Probably cold in California. It's like 72 or something like that.
Yeah. So. Speaking of, but it's not as cold as it is here as people look outside and see snow and ice. So
one thing I want to give a shout out to that we didn't talk about her at all in our preview, and I was kind of shocked when she came in against San Diego State. Lowry, the freshman, came in and shut the door on San Diego State. Big innings. Seems like she can spin it.
I mean, Kelly Maxwell, man, like it just kind of looked pretty similar to that to me. I mean, I'm no,
very similar,
I'm no softball guru, but that's what it looked like to me. I mean, I don't think she was pulling the Bobby Valentine. I don't think that was Kelly Maxwell with the Bobby Valentine, fake stuff on that.
And if you looked all season, what's going to happen? The three names that are going to probably always be consistent. That's Dayton, Ella Parker, Pickering. Those three are always going to be.
Pickering can freaking play too, dude. I mean, like,
and that's the thing is Patty's honest when it comes to her team. And if you really remember, she said, I probably won't know anything about this team till like maybe we get off the plane our first game. And she goes, I probably won't know it then. She's still trying to figure out her lineups. And this is kind of the way her teams always are, is they start off slow. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit to have maybe 1-2 losses. I don't think, but I could see us losing to Baylor because it's in Waco. But that said, they just keep finding ways to win. And it's refreshing to have a team that all they know is winning. It's just there's a lot of players, new players, freshmen, transfer girls that they're trying to find their role. And Malloy, 2 home runs this last weekend. She's going to be a player. She's going to be a stud. So
good athletes make good softball players, Jeremy. That's another dynamite drop in from me.
And and there's one thing that Patty Gasso does, and that she recruits very well. And who would not want to play for Patty Gasso in the University of Oklahoma when it comes to softball?
An idiot.
I mean, we have the best facilities.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to, and also too, we talked about the LNC probably going to be around. Guys, L. Dale Mitchell is the first thing that needs to be renovated.
And there is some stuff going there. And we'll be, I don't think we have anybody lined up like Eric right now for Sooner Baseball. We're working on a little bit of stuff for that as we get closer. Got a guy who I don't want to say his name until everything's done, but who you all know who follows Sooner Baseball pretty well, who hopefully I'm going to get on here in the next couple of weeks to talk a little Sooner Baseball. But if you've never been to Elldale, they are doing some stuff. They tried to do some, stuff out in the outfield, that sort of thing. But I saw, I think it was on Instagram, ranking the stadiums in the SEC. And I think there's only 15 teams that play baseball, and ours was ranked 14th. So you don't want to be 14th. So if you're a BMD, if you're a big money donor out there and you like Sooner Baseball, how about cash some of them checks? Tax season is upon us. So, talk to your accountant, see if you get something backdated to help you out for this year. If not, get started on next year and do what you can there. And but I do think we've got a decent baseball team again, Jeremy. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're right in that tournament mix.
It's one of those things too. Men's, not a whole lot of men's teams we can say this. I think we got the right coach in place.
No, I do
Skip
too.
Johnson
I do too.
Is a hell of a coach. He's a good recruiter, and he makes guys better.
Well, and if you don't have the money and sort of thing that we do, I mean, like, how do you have to build a team? Well, you build it. What's Skip really good at? If you've got a good pitcher, you're going to stay in the game. Momentum is tomorrow's starter. And I think we've got good arms. I think we're going to play good defense. I think we can get enough bats going. I think, Willits. I'm sorry. He's playing for the Angels, who's our assistant coach. I think he's going to do Reggie. Anyway, this is bad podcasting, but I think it's Reggie. But
no, it is Reggie. When you said Reggie, I'm like, okay, that's it.
But anyway, in positive, I feel like there's good momentum, good vibes with Sooner baseball. If you can go out, try to support those guys as they get through their preseason, because the SEC is a gauntlet in baseball as well. So try to get out there and support them.
Baseball.
Hopefully, hopefully we're happy after tonight and we can go support the Sooners on Saturday against LSU as well. But once again, if there's anything breaking, Jeremy and I will be in. If not, let's just keep our fingers crossed for some better vibes for basketball. Women's basketball, the schedule kind of lightens up a little bit here coming forward. So should see a better February wins and losses wise for Jenny's team. Still think they're firmly in the tournament. Need to get a little bit of a roll. They're going to host a regional though. But that's pretty much what I've got. Jeremy, anything else before we sign off?
Man, I don't. I'm not optimistic. Like I said about everybody assumes like we're going to beat LSU. I'm not as optimistic. I know we'll know pretty much the first 5 minutes against LSU. Same tonight with Missouri. I feel like if you have a tournament team, you should go into Missouri and win.
Yep.
That's my expert analysis. But so if we go and play the same, Porter is built around defense. And I watched us I know Tennessee was hitting every shot, and Tennessee just came ready to play, and we were just like, oh, yeah, we're playing Tennessee today.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And good shot, dude. You mean when you shoot it, you can make it?
Here's another thing about packing our stands out. The problem that we're having is every time we have big crowds, we
suck.
Crap the bed.
Yeah.
We played the worst.
And that's the reason, we're not hyping it up that much right now, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. And I'm not totally down on it. We're just trying to give you a real honest opinion about it because we like Porter Moser. We've got no skin in the game. But right now it's not working. We hope it will start working. But there's really no reason other than hope to say that it's going to.
Yeah. No. So I don't know. We'll see. I just would I be surprised if our next pod we went 0-2 this week? No, I wouldn't. Would I be more? Here's the thing. Would I be more surprised if we were 2-0? Yes, then I would be 0-2. So I don't know. It's just I don't go into it right now being very optimistic because I've watched us play in conference. So
you've been talking to Darren too much. That's your problem.
I have been.
Darren did say he was an optimist on our group chat. So we believe you, Darren. We believe you.
Yeah, that's the scary part. If Darren's our optimist, and we're screwed. So I just I don't know. There's just too many. Like this football and basketball season has turned me into a negative.
Hey, it's rough out there, man. It's rough. It's rough.
So I'm at the point now where I'm just like, we're gonna lose. I felt like
turn this place into a parking lot. Back up the pooper scooper. So
I know we suck. So that's pretty much how it is. My wife.
All right, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, real quick, subscribe to our YouTube. Follow Apple. Follow Spotify, please. So give us
the email earlier. Sponsorships available. Let's just make this better and better, guys. We're gonna keep.
Hey, and also too, comment too as well on who you want as a new basketball coach.
Yep.
And we'll see if we can do some research and figure.
I'll do some research, guys. When I've got the little pad, research has been done. So just let me know. We'll get it. We'll get it done, and we'll see you guys again next week. Boomer.
Sooner.